I'm going to sing a friendship song, so you let you know that I am your friend, regardless what I say to you here tonight. So I want to sing this song for you. Thank you. Mado in my language means thank you. Don't clap for me. Don't clap for me. My language to say thank you is Mado. So something you forgot in your world is thank you. Mado, thank you. Much easier to say thank you than it is to swat mosquitoes. Mado. I'm from the Osage, Cherokee Nation. I'm still a young man, I'm 60 plus years old. I was born in a barn. I was raised partly in a dirt floor house. We swept that dirt floor house. We mopped that dirt floor house because it was a clean place to live. We had 6 army cots for 6 runny-nosed boys. They had nothing but springs. You had 1 sheet and 1 blanket to keep you warm. That was my childhood. My toys were not like toys you had. My toys were the animal creatures that Kakashla, the Great Spirit, has put here as a gift for all of us. That was my toys. So I played with doodlebugs and turtles as a child. My grandfather was a wise man. My grandfather taught me how to hunt. I lived in a wooded area, and we lived on squirrels and groundhogs. And he had many animals. He had horses and cows, and pigs, chickens. But those animals were for other things in the household that you needed. You needed coffee or sugar or flour, beans. So those animals weren't always eaten. So you had squirrels and groundhogs. My grandfather would take me a long ways from home and set me down next to a riverbed stream. And a lot of the things I learned from the water. The water people, we call them people. Water people. But my grandfather taught me how to survive in these woods. To be a hunter, to be a tracker. And then when I was about 15 years old, I was taken away from my family and put into a boarding school where they taught you how to read or write, arithmetic, religion, and religion again. And I didn't want to be there. And so I'm not a very educated person as far as reading and writing. And But I made good in my life. I worked hard. I worked for 10 cents an hour in a boarding school for 4 years of my life. You couldn't have no family contact. But it learned me to work hard. So we're here today to talk about this beautiful place we stand here. Everything you see around you in my world was given as a gift. And we see it as a gift from the Creator Himself. And we were taught to not destroy this gift that was given to us. Last year, we had many teachers here, and they asked the young people like yourself to go down and gather the wood for the fire. And the first thing I said to those young people that went out and gathered all that wood is, you destroyed the homes of so many creatures. 60 kids picking up 60 pieces of wood and butter. They destroyed the homes of the creatures that live here. So at night, the owl people had more mice than they wanted to eat. And the other creatures had more small creatures to eat than they needed, because they didn't have no homes to hide in. I want to tell a short story. This is a Cherokee story. I want you to listen very closely to this story. There were two young men, young boys, that lived with their grandmother. And each day of their lives, they went out with their grandmother. And the grandmother would tell them what food to get to eat. But these boys would have always the same food on a constant basis. So one day they went to their grandmother and says, Grandmother, you know, we need something different to eat. So the grandmother told the boys to go out and hunt tui, the deer. Bring a young deer home. So these two boys, they go out and hunt this deer. And before they kill this deer, they say a prayer for its spirit. And then they take their bows and they kill this deer. Again, they say another prayer for its spirit one more time to ask the Creator to take its spirit high. Because they did not know a good spirit from a bad spirit, and they didn't want that spirit to follow them home. So they bring that animal home and they clean it, and they skin it out. Take its skin and tighten it very tight against the earth. Take the brain from the animal and rub it upon the hide, because they're going to tan it to make their clothing. Take all the bones from the meat and put the bones out in the sun, the bleach, because they're going to use the bones as utensils or working tools. Then they took and gave that meat to the grandmother. And the grandmother took it in her wickie up. And when it came dinner time, the grandmother brought out tui, the deer. And she brought out maize, just corn. All it was just corn. And they ate this for many, many, many years. Hundreds of years. Again, the boys came back to the grandmother and says, Grandmother, we need to have something different. Can we have something different? So the grandmother told the boys to go out again and hunt the turkey. So the boys went out again to hunt the turkey. And when they saw the turkey, they said the prayers for its spirit. Kill that huge bird. Said another prayer for its spirit to be taken away so they could bring that creature back home. They took all the feathers from the bird and they let out, because they're going to use those feathers to make themselves look beautiful. They took all the bone from the meat and they laid the bones again out in the sun to make whistles, to make fish hooks, to make even arrow points. They took the turkey and they gave it to the grandmother, and she took it in the wickie up. And she came back out with the food later, and she brought out the turkey, and she brought back hominy. Hominy is still just corn, just maize. This went on for many, many, many years again. And the boys were wanting something different, but they were wondering, where is grandmother getting this other food from? So they said, we should go back to the grandmother and ask her for something different. And this time, one of us will stay and hide back just to see where grandmother's getting this other food from. So they went to the grandmother and says, we'd like to have something different. And grandmother says, well, go down to the river and get fish. and you bring back this fish, and we'll have something different. So these two boys walked off together. When they come to the high grasses, one of the boys laid down and hid, and the other boy went to get the fish. The young boy saw his grandmother come up out of the wickiup and go into a big smoke lodge, take her buckskins off her body and lay them down upon Chinchi, the earth. And she started dancing and rubbing her body. And she danced and rubbed her body. All its corn, all its maize fell from her body on her buckskins. And she picked her buckskins up and walked back to the wickiup. The other boy went back where the other boy was fishing and told him what he saw. They come back together with this fish. They prepared the fish for the grandmother and brought it into her. And she cooked the dinner that night. She brought out fish and she brought out grits. But grits is only ground corn, ground maize. Many years went past and grandmother was getting frail and old. And she called the boys to them, says, "Boys, come to me." And the boys came to her and she told them, she says, "You know, if you take care of me, I will take care of you the rest of your lives." This story is not about young men that stayed with their grandmother that prepared food for them. This story is about young men that stayed with their grandmother Earth, and the grandmother Earth was the provider of that food. Today we see canned food and we think nothing of it. And most of us don't even know where it comes from. But it don't come from those cans. Chinchi, the earth, she feeds us. But we don't realize that. We never think about that. We come out here today and we walk these places and around this waterway. This fire is sacred. Same as the fire that comes across the sky. Same as that sister moon that sits there in the sky. It is sacred. The water is sacred. The air we breathe is sacred. The earth we walk upon so gently, she is sacred. Without these four elements, there will be no people of no kinds. So we have to look at these gifts that are given to us as sacred beings. One time I had an old man sit with as I was young. And he says, "Look at me. I am a sacred spirit. I am a sacred being." And he looked out into the fields and he says, "Look at Tui, the deer. It is a sacred being with a sacred spirit." And then he says, "Look at the grasses around you. They are sacred beings with a sacred spirit." We believe that all life has spirit. And everything the Creator has put here for us as a gift is alive. It is not dead. We call those tree people. The animals, we call them people. The fish, we call them people. The birds, we call them people. The first gifts that ever come here on this vast, beautiful earth that we carry was a gift given to us by the Creator. And we were last made. We were here to protect the beauty He had laid down around us. And when you walk out here and you see all this beauty around you, but if you see no beauty, maybe you were not taught to walk in beauty. Because sometimes you have to be taught about the beauty that's around you before you can see it. That's like some people saying, "I can't see the forest because that tree's in my way." You have to be able to see all the beauty that's around you. And everything is a gift. Everything is a gift. Yourselves are gifts to your parents. The greatest gift I ever got in my life is my children and my grandchildren. They are my gifts from the Creator. If we take these elements away from these creatures that live around us, as we see them as brothers and sisters to us because they're teachers to us, as we want to be human beings, not people. As human beings, these creatures are teachers to us if we want them to be. And if you're not taught that they are teachers to you, then it's very hard for you to understand that. We have a word language from the Lakota people, it says matakahasi. And that word means for all my relations. Matakahasi, for all my relations. And that doesn't mean just man. That means all the gifts the Creator has put around us. Indian people would take from the earth, but they'd only take what they needed. In your society today, you're not taught that these are great gifts. You are not taught that all life was put here in a sacred way and all things has a place and a purpose. You're not taught that everything is alive around you in your society today. And your societies that we have around us today, they teach you that there is only you. These trees can be taken anytime because we're above them. We can take them. If there's a creature crawling on the earth, I can kill it because I'm above that creature that walks on this earth. I want to ask you all a very simple question. There's many bats of many kinds all over this world. There's some that eat fruit, and there's some that don't eat fruit. So let's play like right now, really quick. Let's kill all the bats all over the whole world. All the bats. What happens to mankind if we kill all the bats all around the world? Anybody? Young man.
We're overrun with insects.
Pardon me?
We're overrun with bugs.
You'll be over. Yeah, but what bugs give you? What does bugs give you, young man?
Bites and stings, as of this morning.
Yes, somebody else. What does bugs give you? There's one bug that they eat a lot of. What is this bug?
Mosquitoes.
Pardon me?
Mosquitoes.
I didn't see a hand.
Mosquitoes.
Yes, mosquitoes. Mosquitoes, they eat thousands and thousands of mosquitoes. Today, in our society today, animals, these trees, insects, get the disease that man has brought here today. Rose bushes have cancer. These insects, these mosquitoes, will carry diseases that will kill you. So if we kill all these bats, what's going to happen to mankind? Excuse me? Yes. Yes, you're going to get diseases and die. Can you understand that? Does that sound reasonable?
No.
It doesn't seem reasonable?
Not everybody dies.
Not everybody will die?
Not if everybody dies. It doesn't seem reasonable.
Why not? I am a survivor of one of the biggest killing of indigenous people ever. I am a survivor. They says kill all of Totonka Petamataka and you kill off all Indian people. I'm talking about the buffalo. There were 60 million buffalo in North America. They killed all but 7. That buffalo survived. I did too. If those mosquitoes that carry diseases bite because man cannot protect himself, you will die. Whatever's around you will die. When you upset the balance that the Creator has put here, you will die. Do you understand that?
I do understand that.
Pardon me?
I do.
Yes, thank you. So, I want to tell you a short story about a bat. The bat is a creature that the Creator put here, has wings that can fly like a bird. He's got 4 legs, as the animal people can walk on the ground. So is a bat a mammal or is a bird species? Somebody? Yes, ma'am. Are you quite sure? There's a small creature, it's called a duck-billed platypus. It has a duck's bill. It's got a beaver's tail. It's got feet on it like a otter. It has fur all on its body, and it lays eggs. What is it?
It's a mammal.
Are you sure? Mammals only have birth by live birth. He has eggs like a chicken.
He nurses his young.
Excuse me?
He nurses
His nurses his young. Okay, that's good. I'm glad you understand that. Because I got a lot of people that don't understand what a bat is. They don't know if it's a bird or an animal. But the bat itself didn't know if it was a bird or an animal. Many, many years ago, before man was ever put on the earth, there were great battles between a bat and itself. The animal people and the bird people would get into great wars. And the bat would just sit back and watch these wars. But as soon as the animal people started winning these wars, the bat would crawl over on his 4 legs and fight with the animal people. When the animal people won the battle, the bat would sit back and pump on his chest and says, "Oh, did we not do good?" And the animal people would turn around and look at the bat and says, "Who are you?" The bird people would get very strong and they'd fight back and they'd go into battle again. This time the birds would win, so the bat would see this. He'd sneak around and start flying with the bird people. And when the bird people won the battle, the bat would sit back and say, "Hey, did we not do good?" And the bird people would look at the bat and says, "Who are you?" This went on for many, many years. Then the bird people saw the bat sneaking around to become an animal. And the animal people seen him sneaking around and flying as a bird. So all these creatures quit battling each other. And they come together and they brought the bat in. And he says, "Bat, who are you?" He says, "I think I'm a bird." "No." "I think I'm an animal." "No." Because the bat didn't know who he was. Then the animal people and the bird people took him and put him in the darkness all his life. And still he does not know who he is, because he is still there. When you come here today, I hope all you young people understand what you're doing here is something very important in your life. And not to be here because you want to be here. But when you come here and look at this earth that was given to you as a gift, to see it as a gift and protect it as a gift. Something well given to you. It's not, I don't know where you can go and have such a beautiful gift given to you in your lives. Man keeps trying to go to the heavens, but the only gift there is the beautiful stars. You have great gifts here. I believe because my ancestors believed that all life has spirit, and because they could not understand a good spirit from a bad spirit, and they worked with these animal people and they said their prayers every day for whatever they took from the earth. And they did not take just to be taken, they did not kill just to be killing, because they believed too that everything had a place and a purpose. And if they had to gather food, they would go out and pray for that animal spirit before they kill that animal. Before they took anything, always prayers. And because we don't understand that they are gifts, we don't recognize that, we don't see that. And once we start seeing it just as man, and we're above everything, I think young people today, it's why young people today kill each other, because they have no respect for the earth, the things on the earth, or even themselves, because they were not taught about that respect of life. And life is everything you touch. You can take a rock, and there's no rocks here, and I wish there was, a hot one, so I could pick it up and let you hold it in your hand and tell you that rock has life. And you sit there and tell me that I'm nuts. But that rock is made out of the same elements you are, because it's got these little molecules in it. And if it's warm, they're going 90 miles an hour. And if the Creator gave that rock legs and it's going 90 miles an hour, it would outrun anybody here. But He didn't give it legs. But He gave it the same as you carry in your body, those molecules that work, that move. These trees, and they don't have no lungs. But they say these trees take in carbon dioxide and give you oxygen. If it don't have lungs, how can it take something into its body and give you back something? I don't understand that, so I think it must have lungs too. When Indian people would make boats out of these big trees, they gave it lungs, they gave it a heart. They gave it all those things because they believed that it gives you back. Indian people seen anything that gave them something is a gift of knowledge. So sitting in the shade and being praying for the tree that it gave you shade is a gift. And it gives you knowledge that these gifts are around you. I'd like to share another story, because we have these young people here and the boys sit with only the boys. And I noticed while I was here, these are our guests. These are our guests from another land. But they ate over there, and all the ones were here except for the girls. I guess they were from over there. They ate with the girls. But there was a separation. And I want to tell you a story. There was two twins born in the world. And one's name was Tui, the deer. And the other one, they named it Antelope. And they played and loved each other. And they played and they growed. But when they got up to be about teenagers, the deer stayed in the foothills. And the antelope moved down in the valley. But they would go and visit each other. And when they go down and visit each other, the antelope that lived down in the flat hills, the valleys, he says, let's have a race. Let's see who's the fastest here in this valley. And the deer and the antelope would have a race. And the antelope would outrun the deer. The deer would invite the antelope to come to the mountains, the foothills. And the deer would say, hey, let's have a race here in these foothills to see who's the fastest here. And they would run in the foothills. And Tui, the deer, would outrun the antelope. We are all different peoples on this planet. And we're all put here as sacred beings and sacred spirits. And the only difference sometimes is our languages and our colors. But we're all one of the same. Between that deer and that antelope, it showed children many years ago that we are different. And each child is best at what he could be at. So if I asked you in your school, what are you best at? What are you best at? English? Music? And if I asked you, what's your best at? What are you best at?
I don't know.
You don't know what you're good in school. That's a good place to be. If you were my granddaughter. So what are you best at?
I have no idea.
You have no idea. What are you best at? Yes, ma'am.
English and music.
English and music, that's great. Young man, what are you best at?
Drama.
Drama. Little man, what are you best at?
English.
English? And young lady, what are you good at? Young lady?
Lunch.
Lunch? Did you say lunch? No, you know, I know most of your school teachers. And to not know what you're good at is sad. To not be good in many things, or even in one thing, very good. So we got English, and we got music, we got lunch, we got I don't know. If all of us here, doesn't matter if you're good in science, math, music is the same as math. Ain't no difference between music and math. Zero difference. There's no difference. But if you look, each one of you, and you are good in something besides lunch or I don't know, then we can help solve the problems we have with these watersheds to protect them. Because if we lose this up here, we lose the animals up here. And if the water keeps going deeper and deeper into the earth and we cannot protect it, then we're going to lose the people down there. And then we're going to lose the people down a little farther. We have to learn to work together. These young men may not speak English, but I think children should be able to get along without words and not have this one sit over here and one sit over there, because we're all the same. We're all a great gift from the Creator, and we're all His children, and we're all people. We have many varieties of trees in here. Oaks and pines and sugar pines and all these trees. But they're all trees. Do you all understand that? Yes. Do we have any questions? Anybody have any questions? Yes, ma'am.
What do you think is the most valuable lesson that you ever learned in your life?
The most valuable lesson? I believe I had a lot of anger in my life. Okay, as a young boy, a lot of resentment because of where I was placed in my life. I think the greatest gift I was given was to sit down with my elders, old people, and have them teach me that we are all one people. Colors mean nothing. We're all one people. Only one God, and He made all of us. And we're all people. And I was about 23 years old before I learned that. And I had a lot of anger. When I had children, I wouldn't let non-Indian people touch my children because I thought they were going to take them away from me and put them in one of those schools that I was put in. Can you understand that? No, I know you can't relate to that. It's tough to relate to that. You know, to be taken away for no reason. No reason. Yes. Yes. We had discussions up here today on different parts of El Dorado County and the water resources we have up here. We have much water up here. We have tons of water up here. We have so many beautiful lakes up here in El Dorado County, but we have no water. And the water today, because more and more people is going deeper into the earth for the water, we're taking and suck away the surface top water from these lakes, from the streams that we have, less and less each water every day. And people don't understand that because they're looking at, I am above that. I am above, I can have all that I want because I am above it. I can take whatever I want because I am above it. But if we keep taking and taking and taking, we won't have these things. Let me give you a good example here with myself at work. In 1983, I was a plumber. In 1983, I was working on the Sutter General Hospital downtown Sacramento. It is 180 feet in the air. I could sit up on those high beams and I could see up here where we live. Clear as a bell. 1983. I worked on the federal courthouse downtown Sacramento. 1999. Finished it. In 1999, by 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock in the morning, 380 feet in the air, get up there and sit down and look across. I could not see this place where I lived. I couldn't even see the foothills because of the smog. When I was a young boy and stayed with my grandparents, they called me Chocolate Drop because you didn't have to wear much clothes. And my skin would get very, very dark in the summer, so they named me that, Chocolate Drop. But we did not get skin cancer. We didn't have skin cancer. Today the sun, we take from the sun. So the sun now pollutes our earth. We take from the sky. We pollute the lands. They call that acid rain. One time I was trying to write a song about acid rain. And I was writing it because of all the selenium and acid rains that were coming out of the rice fields and going into the rivers. And then the big factories blowing all their smoke all over these trees and killing them. So I started this song off and it went like this. Acid rain, who's to blame for acid rain? Big trees die, little birds cry, who's to blame for acid rain? I was going to write this song and publish it one time because I was so sick of people taking and taking and taking and destroying and don't even know that they're destroying the greatest gifts the Creator gave us, the things that are around us. The greatest gifts are those things. When we go to our ceremonies, we have prayers for life, much different than you, probably. Because we go back into the womb of Chinchi, the Mother Earth, complete darkness in there. And we ask the Great Spirit to look at us and to help us so we can see ourselves as who we are before we judge others around us. So that we know that we can come to ourselves and say, yes, I am a humble person. But what's going on with my earth is not, they're not being humble there. So you're taught when you go into these lodges to be very humble and very respectful, because those elements that gives us life, water, air, fire, earth, comes in those lodges. And that teaches us about life and to respect life, to be able to hate a person for what he does, but still love him as your brother. I don't know if that's hard to understand or not. But you can hate a person for what they stand for, but still love that person as a brother. Because as brother, he is your brother, but that's what he stands for sometimes that we don't have to agree about. We don't have to agree to that part, of that understanding that in that person's life. And we're going to try this again. Anybody have any questions? You're the greatest group I've ever had. I'd like to sing you one more song if I may. Well, before I sing this song, I want to tell you one more story, if I may. And then I want to sing this song. Do you mind? I want to tell you a story. There is a very small mouse. I'm using this word mouse, but I want you to see this mouse as a person. Because in our world, because we don't want to be speaking about a person or his name, then we use an animal in turn of his place. There was a very young mouse, and he heard this great roaring around him, and he couldn't understand what it was. He couldn't understand at all what this great roaring was. So he went to all of his mice friends, and he says, "Can you hear this roaring? I hear this roaring. Can you hear this?" And all his mice friends would stick close together and say, no, we don't hear nothing. None of us hear nothing here. So the next day, this mouse, he set it out on this journey just to find out what this roaring was. And he started down and listening and walking and listening to the roaring. And he met up with a raccoon. And a raccoon introduced himself. And the mouse said he was called Small Mouse. And he was listening to this roaring, he's wondering what it was. And the raccoon says, I know what that roaring is. It is the river down below us. This is where I go to clean my food. Everything I touch, everything I eat, I clean it before I eat it. So the raccoon takes the mouse down to this water. And he goes down here to this water, and he starts just to peek in. And he saw himself. And because he'd never seen himself before, he jumped back because it scared him. He walked farther down, and this river turned into a huge big lake, like this beautiful lake out in front of us. And there were lily pads on it. And he sat there, looked, and he saw a frog on the lily pads. And the frog asked him, he says, "Would you like to have power?" And the little mouse says, "Yes." He says, "Today I want to call you Jumping Mouse." So his little legs start tingling, he jumped straight up in the air, higher than these trees. And he saw a large mountain, a very huge mountain. And when he fell back to the earth, he fell into that lake and he got all wet. He was getting cold. So the raccoon told him if he keeps the roaring of the river to his back, he would find his home. So he went back up to his home and went to his mice friends again. His mice friends saw him all wet. And they thought because he was all wet, he is poisoned now. Because he's different. He is poison. Maybe the wolf swallowed him, regurgitated him out. He is poison. So he moved back from his friends, because he asked his friends again, did you hear the roaring? And they said no. So the next day, this little mouse went off again to that river. And he wanted to go to that highest part. He saw that mountain. He wanted to go there. And so he walked and he walked down that river trying to find a place to cross. He ran into this little fat mouse. And this little fat mouse says, hey, look at all the berry vines we have here by the water. Look at all the sage we have. We can cover ourselves with the sage. And when the shadows pass over, they will never see us. We can hide right here and have all the food we want for us right here. He thought about it and he stayed. The little fat mouse told him there's a big snake on the other side of that river to stay to this side, because if he got on the other side, that snake would eat him. So he stayed for a long time and he went back down the river and he looked into the water and he seen a little fat mouse. He changed. He forgot that he saw this highest mountain, this highest place that he wanted to be. It started raining and it pushed a big log across the stream. So he ran back to tell the mouse, the other mouse, that a log has come across. Now a snake can come across that water. So he runs back and he goes to the mouse hole and he could smell the snake had already been there. So now he takes off and goes across this log. And he starts this journey to this high place. And when he gets out in the flat lands, it was getting dark, so he bumped into something other very soft. So very soft. And so he dug a hole beside it and he fell asleep. The next morning, the whole earth just shook and shook and shook. It scared him and he jumps back. And he says, who are you? And this huge animal stood up and says, I am Tatonka, I am Peta, Mataka, I am the buffalo. He says, I am blind today because I drank bad water. And now I cannot see, I cannot find food to eat, and I will surely die. And the buffalo told him that only the eye of a mouse would give him back his sight to be able to eat and be able to do what he has to do in his life. And so this little mouse says, you know, he doesn't even know who I am because he's blind. Why should I give him one of my eyes? So the buffalo told him exactly who he was. He says, I am a giver. I am a giver of myself. I give from the tips of my horns to the tips of my shoes. I give all I have to the Ateshasha. I give all I have of myself to the people. And the little mouse thought about this. Says, what an animal person that learns to give all of himself for the people. Says, I shall give him one of my eyes. And so he told him who he was, Jumping Mouse, and he wanted to give him that eye. And as soon as he says that he wanted to rename him and call him Eye of the Mouse. And his eye comes shooting out of his head and went into the buffalo. And the buffalo could see again. So he told the buffalo that he wanted to go to that high mountain. And the buffalo says, if you stay underneath me, when the shadows pass over, they will not see you. When fear comes around you, you will not feel the fear. And so when he walked underneath the bison's belly. And the bison took him to these foothills here. And he says, I cannot go no farther because the way I walk upon the earth, I cannot walk these mountain hills or I will fall over. So it's getting late and the little mouse dug another hole to the earth and he crawled into that hole. The next morning, the little mouse, something was slobbering all over him, sniffing on and slobbering all over him. And he jumps back and he says, "Who are you?" And it was the wolf. But the wolf forgot who he was. And he lost his memory and he lost his smell. And he told him, "I will die because I cannot smell no more. And the only thing that will bring me back to myself, to know who I am, is the eyes of a mouse." And so he thought about this wolf for a long time. This wolf has a clarity in his life to bring his children up, to protect and provide for his children, to leave none without food, to leave none without shelter, to help them all the ways through their lives. He taught, and this is what he would do for his children. So he thought about it, the mouse, because he says, because he don't know who he is no more, he don't know who I am. He says, why should I give up my last eye to this wolf? So he thought about it. He thought about that wolf being so humble, to be able to bring his family up and always be able to be there, to be that protector and provider of that family. So the next day he went back. He says, "I want to rename you Eye of the Mouse." And as soon as he says this, the eye comes out of the mouse's head, goes into the wolf, and the wolf could see. He told the wolf that he was going to this high mountain. The wolf said he would take him there. Says, "If you walk underneath me and you listen to the pat of my feet, when the shadows pass over, the fear of knowing and not knowing comes around you, you will not be there." So the wolf took him all the way to this highest top of this mountain, the farthest he could go. And he says, "I have to leave you here now and go back down to the foothills." This mouse, he could still smell the beautiful of these trees. He could still smell the earth. He still could feel everything around him. And he starts jumping. And then he heard someone say, "Jumping mouse." And he says, "Is that you, frog?" And he says, "Yes." And the frog says, "You know, I want you to jump as high as you can jump and bring your hands down. Just jump high as you can jump and bring your hands down." He says, "I have fear that the eagle will see me and take me." He says, "No." The mouse cannot see no more because he has no eyes. So he starts jumping as high as he can and starts bringing his arms down. And he jumps so high, the eagle come and put his talons into the back of this small mouse. And then the frog says, "Now I want to give you medicine. I want you to open your eyes." So this mouse opens his eyes. He could see again. He had the clarity to see everything there is around him. So the frog told him again, "I want to rename you." He says, "Today I want to call you Eagle." This story can be taken many, many ways. But I want you young people to understand this story. This young mouse, or this person, he saw his highest potential in his life. His very highest potential. Even though his friends says, "No, I can't hear that. No, I don't want you around me because you're different now, because you want to learn to be somebody. You are poison." Even though he hid with that old mouse in that sage and those berry vines and looked at himself again, he says, "This ain't what I wanted." And he went across and he went to the highest part of his life. What I want to tell you here, in our world today, whatever you touch with your hands, with the breath that comes from your mouth as you speak, whatever you touch affects your environment. Whatever you touch in any way. When you walk out here, you affect the environment. Regardless what it is. If you're at home, or out here where you can see all this beauty around you, you have to walk in a good way, respect everything, so the environment will stay for you, will stay for the generations to come. Know who you are. Don't be a bat. Be that mouse and go to the highest potential of your life. And always understand who you want to be in your world. Seniors here should already be planning what they're going to go to college for. And this place that we come here today, if you're going to learn to be an environmentalist, to protect this gift that was given to us by the Creator, then we should plan for that now. And don't be hanging with our friends that says, what, I don't hear that. No, I'd rather eat. No, I really don't know what I want to be. We should always know where we're going in our lives. We should always understand what we want to do and what we want to be, regardless. So I want to sing this song because it's a thank you song for letting me be here for you. And I thank you very much for the respect that you have shown me with your silence. And I thank you very much again for letting me come to walk in this beauty with you today, and this evening. Because in my life, I see all life is beautiful. Every day my life is woshdeha. Every day my life is a good day to die. Because I love my life so much. And I see a beauty in everything I touch, anything I speak to. There's beauty. And so I want to sing this song. This is a thank you song. And it may not even be appropriate here. But you are my brothers and sisters. You're my daughters. You're my nieces. You're my nephews. You're my grandchildren. Because I have grandchildren in their 20s. And I have nieces and nephews your age. But we are Matakahase. We are all related here as one. So I want to let you understand that you are related to me by this great Creator that gives us all these beautiful gifts. So this is a thank you song. I'm just going to sing this part of this song because, see, tomorrow you may not be with me, but I want to take your spirits in this lodge I sit in tomorrow and ask the grandfather to help you in your lives and help you understand what you want to be in this world, because you should already be planning that. Walk and talk on Sheila. Walk and talk on Sheila. Pilam Maya Yelu Ria Edu. Chanu Pa Waka Chan Maya Huelo Re. Pila Maya Yelo Ria Edu. Witsozani Wai Maya Huelo. Pila Maya Ye. Pila Maya